Let's get it. Hallelujah. Okay, so I wanted to start off this casual talk, talking about something kind of serious, if it's what it's advertised as being. We know things seldom are. But we're going to look into what it may be, what's going on. If we can, we're talking about the scientist, the doctor from the CDC who went missing in February after some strange events. And the fact that he was a CDC doctor and the strange things he had told friends and neighbors and family members, some of the strange things that he reportedly had said or done, are making a lot of people look at this one as a possible, at least a coded story. If nothing else, it may actually be a story of some sort of CDC cover-up behind this man's death. So let's take a look at, this is really Graceful, who's from Georgia. And let's see this nice summary, 13-minute summary for those who need that.
Hey internet friends, as many of you already know, I'm from Georgia, and I pay extra special attention to the strange happenings taking place around me, of which there's no shortage. Ever since General Sherman marched the sea during the Civil War, leaving scorched earth behind, What's risen from the ashes has been anything but ordinary. A new economic order emerged in the form of the Federal Reserve, with its birthplace off the coast of Georgia. And decades later, a new world order was etched into stone, erected in the form of the mysterious Georgia Guidestones, whom some refer to as the American Stonehenge. Nowadays, with Georgia's capital situated right along the 33rd parallel, Atlanta is home to major players like CNN, Coca-Cola, the Centers for Disease Control, and of course, the busiest airport in the world. Georgia has made news headlines over the last year as being the central hub for various odd incidents. Nearly a year ago in April, I uploaded a video titled "Something Strange is Happening in Atlanta," documenting the sequence of events surrounding the controversial I-85 bridge collapse. Today, I plan to expand on that video, all the way from the greater Atlanta area and beyond.
This is really great, really graceful is the name of the channel. One word. Really, R-E-A-L-L-Y, graceful. Graceful. And this is the title of the video. Something strange is happening in Georgia. And she's going to end it with the CDC doctor. And then we're going to pick up from there and chop this thing up real fast.
Because something strange is taking place in Georgia. And perhaps it's time to ask why. So let's travel back in time to where I left off in my last video. At 5:14 p.m. on March 30th, 2017, when downtown Atlanta streets closed, Homeland Security responded to a report of a male carrying red mercury from Africa, which is a really curious report with an even more curious response from authorities, given that red mercury is documented as an urban myth of a substance. Totally hypothetical, but rumored to be utilized in the creation of nuclear bombs, having originated in Russia and leaked into the black market. And for the last several decades, corporate media outlets have assured the public that red mercury is nothing more than a hoax. An hour after the red mercury report, during peak rush hour traffic, an Atlanta bridge caught fire, causing the collapse of a section of I-85 and leaving motorists stranded on the freeway for hours. 3 homeless individuals were arrested in connection to the collapse shortly thereafter, suspected of maliciously setting fire to a main artery of Atlanta's roadways. The defense team for one of these suspects, Basil Ellaby, suggested that the evidence to bolster a felony first-degree arson charge was lackluster. The defense team stated that they believed Ellaby was quickly singled out, and he was arrested as a result of the officials wanting to quickly identify a culprit. This would serve as a means to satisfy the public outrage and also possibly absolve the department of any responsibility for its storage of these dozens of giant spools of petroleum-based conduit under this very critical section of highway infrastructure. And as an update to this story, this 666-mile-long highway, this section of it anyway, opened 6 weeks later when it was restored. Called to respond to the I-85 bridge fire was the Atlanta Fire Rescue Airport foam trucks. And while the foam itself smothered the angry flames pretty effectively, it wasn't the last time in 2017 that the Atlanta airport firemen would see some major action. On December 7th, 2017, panic spread across social media, with reports of thick, black smoke rising from nearby Hartsfield-Jackson, the world's busiest airport. However, national headlines reassured travelers and city dwellers alike that the unusually thick smoke was attributed to a routine drill. And the lessons learned during that drill were apparently put to the test 10 days later when there was a complete blackout at Hartsfield-Jackson as a result of an electrical fire, stranding travelers for hours in total darkness and suspending and grounding all flights to and from the airport. Well, almost all flights, with the exception of a couple. The electrical fire reportedly crippled both the main power source as well as the backup sources because the lines ran through the same tunnel. The FBI issued a statement the day of the outage, saying that there was no reason to suspect terrorism as the root cause of the blackout. Instead, it was the system of cables running through the same channel. And as demonstrated on that day, if anything happens to that channel, the busiest airport in the world can shut down in a matter of moments. I mean, if what they're telling us is the entire story. If we're being told the whole and truthful version of the story, then in the instance of the airport blackout, the Georgia power monopoly, as well as the lack of accountability and failed leadership, had a costly and detrimental impact on critical infrastructure. Again, if we're being told the truth and nothing but, in the case of both the airport shutdown and the I-85 bridge collapse, the problem here is that our government-owned and operated infrastructure relies on a delicate, flawed, and perhaps outdated system. While I'm providing state-specific examples in this video, crumbling infrastructure as a result of criminal negligence is not at all isolated to Georgia. But if there was any criminal neglect of this public infrastructure, wouldn't public officials and involved parties have a lot to gain by blaming citizens for their neglect? If you notice the pattern that's emerged just within the last year of coverage of Georgia-related events, the corporate media initially reports on these incidents only for the coverage to totally fall out of the news cycle. Imagine if mainstream journalists actually did investigations into how our tax dollars and funds are allocated for infrastructure. What if they discovered that all the funds were being allocated appropriately? At what question would they arrive next? Perhaps a question of who benefited from these incidents. Unfortunately, it's not unusual to discover that high-level individuals sometimes do unethical things. Their complex financial interests limiting their ability to do their job. Such was the case with the Centers for Disease Control Director Brenda Fitzgerald, who resigned on January 1st, 2018, a day after it was reported she purchased tobacco stock after she became CDC director, less than a year ago. Dr. Ann Schuchat is now the acting CDC director. Her resume includes responding to the H1N1 pandemic, the SARS outbreak in Beijing. She worked on the Ebola vaccine trials in Africa, and she even played a key support role in Washington, D.C. during the 2001 bioterrorism anthrax response. And as a total aside, have you all noticed the trend in headlines lately? Reporting incidents of mysterious white powder being mailed to individuals? It's like we've stepped back in time. What's old is new again. Side note, over. What's clear here is that very exceptional people work at the CDC, a national public health institute nestled in the heart of Atlanta that deals with some of the deadliest and most horrible things imaginable. So when CDC Dr. Timothy Cunningham disappeared on February 12th, 2018, one of the things I noticed was that they broadcasted pictures of him taking selfies in his car and posted snapshots of his dog, depicting a very normal and ordinary individual, which he is not. The 35-year-old is no regular old doctor either. In addition to being a high-ranking military official, Dr. Cunningham responded to public health emergencies like the Ebola outbreak and the Zika virus. And the events surrounding his disappearance are very puzzling. Police confirmed that in the day prior to his disappearance, Dr. Cunningham told his neighbor to tell his wife to delete his phone number. The next day, he left work early complaining of feeling ill. And after failing to report to work over the next couple days, his parents drove from Maryland all the way to Atlanta to find an empty house, with their son's belongings left behind, including his cell phone, wallet, and car. And he even left his beloved dog behind too. The coverage of his disappearance has been rather complicated because initially the media and Atlanta police reported that Dr. Cunningham had been passed up for a promotion a week before, and the tone of the report sort of implied that he might have committed suicide. However, a month has passed and his body has yet to be discovered. Recently, the CDC commented on their worker's disappearance, correcting the police and media reports that he was passed up for a promotion, saying that was an entirely false report. So, since this story has almost completely fallen out of the news cycle and was riddled with errors to begin with, let's go through some possibilities, none of which I'm implying are true or factual. They're just possibilities. It's entirely possible that the CDC doctor fell ill, perhaps as a result of what he was exposed to at work or otherwise. Now, he could have hallucinated and wandered off. He could have purposefully isolated himself as a means of treatment, or he could have been scooped up against his will for treatment. Aside from the possibility of illness, since these individuals are no ordinary doctors working at the CDC, I would assume that he could have been targeted by a foreign government, or he was a spy. If he was a spy, he could have smuggled materials and left the country. If he was kidnapped, then that would explain the state of his home with all of his personal possessions left behind. There's a whole range of scenarios with incredibly serious implications not being discussed by the media, which makes me wonder why they even bother to cover the story at all, especially since they're doing such a poor job of getting these details straight. Unless the story of Dr. Timothy Cunningham is serving as a warning to those like him. Interestingly, on February 25th, after Dr. Cunningham's disappearance, the CDC asked Congress for $400 million to build a new high-security building to house the world's deadliest pathogens. The CDC already has one of those facilities, which was opened in 2005, and it cost $214 million, but apparently now they need a new one. Finally, we arrive at the strange incident that occurred at Dalton High School in the...
Okay. I wanna stop it right there. And yes, if you're not familiar with her work, check out her work. She does a good job at summarizing. She's as good at summarizing as I am at digressing. And she's got a lot of interesting videos on subjects that you certainly are interested in. She's a truther. I'm not sure. I thought she was a believer. I'm not sure. I'm not endorsing her. I don't know her, but I do know her work. And this was a good example of it. So she summarized that pretty good. So now let's sprawl off into this rabbit hole area and see the unseen. Okay. Let me see. Is the CDC doctor? Is it on this one or the next one? Okay, it's on this one. All right, and while I find it, where is it? Okay, here we go. Okay. Now there's another article that I need for us to look at together. Hold on one second. It's coming. Hold on. I didn't do that stuff already. It's a bad boy curse. Okay, well, I'm looking for this. Okay, here we go. Okay, I have a question. Seemingly unrelated. But do you remember a genie movie starring Sinbad? Don't confuse it with the one starring Shaq. Okay, hold on. Okay, I thought it was all in there. It's not in there. Does anybody recall that movie? Okay. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. I was just curious because that's one of the latest Mandela effects there. I thought I'd seen it too. Could be misremembrance. Okay, so on Dr. Cunningham, on the evening of February 11th, I'm sorry. Easy 330 says, I do. Nah, don't exist, I guess. Yeah, it's one of those things. Yes, they claim, Sister Stale, yeah. They, it's supposedly, it never happened. Sinbad even says it didn't happen. Snopes or some Snopes like comedy news organization, wink, 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 actually paid old Sinbad to put on some genie stuff, and they actually shot footage to make it look like a movie from the late 80s, early 90s, and they posted it up online. Now look at this. Look at the effort to troll into this Mandela effect thing. They posted this fake video that was supposed to be done for April Fool's Day, starring Sinbad, online like last year or something. And of course, a bunch of Mandela effect conspiracy researchers bid it, causing irreparable damage to the credibility of their particular conspiracy category, genre. Irreparable. But yes. So Sinbad is even in on the joke, which is very Masonic to me. He's always been quite Masonic to me. Boule all day. Don't understand how he got as famous as he did. Wasn't that funny to me? But I digress. I'm sorry. That was just a side note. Because that's the other thing I guess, as far as, just intrigue on my spare time, whatever. I have been looking at some of the Mandela things again. Some of them. I don't believe in the Mandela effect to the degree that other people do. There's no shifting of dimensions, but it's demonic manipulation. It's interesting to me to try to figure out why would they manipulate this, or why manipulate that. I know what it is. Don't always understand what's their end game. But I can tell you the bottom line end game, the devil comes to kill, steal, and destroy, and that starts with the battlefield of the mind, to create doubt in your mind and your ability to remember and comprehend. But Dr. Cunningham, the still H is about to hit us with the Moonraker one, the girl with the braces. And yes, they removed the braces. And you wonder why. And you have to say they removed the braces because there's a famous airlines commercial that came out around the time of that 007 movie, Moonraker. The bad guy in the movie was named Jaws. He had a mouthful of golds or platinums or something. They were sharp. It's worse than Method Man's old pair. But Jaws used these teeth. He would bite through things. He was a big old gumpy looking guy. Now that you look at him nowadays, he doesn't even look that big anymore. But anyway, Jaws was big and it's supposed to be terrifying and scary. And there was some female counterpart in this movie of his, or he finds a female who ends up being his counterpart. And the connection that they make is when he smiles at her, he shows his grill of his razor teeth. And then she smiles back at him, and she has braces on. And it's the moment where, they connect because they have something in common. Well, that's missing from the movie. Like C-3PO's leg never had a silver portion. C-3PO was all gold. Now, his calf, he has a gold calf. He has a silver calf. On one leg, I had a C-3PO. My little C-3PO man did not have a silver calf. There's not a whole lot of them I'll go to bat on. Okay, just a few of those I will go to bat on. Most of them I would say that it's two things. It's misremembrance and it's demonic manipulation. Yes, they changed Berenstain. It was Berenstein. I remember I had them books. Y'all know I was a little reader. When I was coming up, I was a little reader. I had them books. But anyway, now we really digressing. And that's right. As far as I always remember, chickens did not fly. I always remember that when I was watching an action movie, the hero would try to, be a sharpshooter and shoot the bad guy on the left side of his chest. Because that's what we was told the heart was. So yeah, lots of things. And it's all to shake your sanity. That's the bottom line. It's all to shake your sanity. That's all. Kanga Kong says, Stain, you have a whole story to go along with it. Now, I'd like to hear your story, Kanga Kong. Maybe the books they gave us in the ghetto of Detroit was bootlegs and they spelled it wrong. But I could sure enough spell it in like I can now. And I'm telling you, it looked like Frankenstein. I knew what Frankenstein was spelled like. I remember them two words looked the same to me. Okay, but enough about that. Let's get on to something better. So, yes, they want total confusion and hysteria, and they want you to doubt your mind. Oh, wouldn't it be great if you doubt your mind when they dropped the Project Bluebeam alien invasion? See, they're always thinking a step ahead. Double think. Right on, Jonathan G. They want to get you in a state of double think where you don't know what's real anymore. You don't know if you remembered that or you didn't. And is the memory not part of the what? Mind, will, emotion, imagination, intellect, subconscious, and conscious thought. What is the memory part of? The soul. All right. So it's a way to manipulate that. Yep, the Jackson 5, the Jackson 6. And some of these things I've seen, they've done some CGI to make some of this stuff happen. And Mona Lisa was a man, right? Which is like true. Grits ain't grocery. Eggs ain't poultry. And Mona Lisa was a man. Isn't that a good one? Actually, Donata, that would be an excellent songwriter secret, though. So if we ever get back to the songwriter secret, I've seen some folks have questions concerning some songwriter secret songs. Chad Butler, Sister True Brown in the comment sections. So we're going to bring the songwriter secret back soon and very soon. Was a man. That was him in a dress. That's what makes the picture. You wonder why. Oh, why do they make over this so much? You know, even a person that paints or someone that studies art, you know, she wasn't exceptionally beautiful. What's the allure? You know, she's not even smiling. Now she's smiling a little bit more, but the allure was, or what made it significant was the secret societies that make everything significant, brothers and sisters. Who tells you what's a classic? Who tells you what should be revered? Who tells you what movie should be revered? Who tells you what actor should be revered? What painting should be revered? What painter should be revered? So the Brotherhood knew, and they're always trying to push that Baphomet agenda, they knew that Mona Lisa was a pretender. Yeah. That's what's up. Yep, sorry. Sorry, King Lucian. I got to tell you like it is. Yep. Bati, boy. They live, we sleep. Amen. Okay. That's what they do. And they can keep it too. So on, Lord, I ain't gonna sit on the desk yet. We got to start somewhere first now. We just got to look at it really graceful. Now, and she made me about 30% sleepier than I was. I'm gonna practice on getting my tone that inviting and non-threatening. I'm trying. Okay. Too graceful. Have mercy. Whew. Like a NyQuil. All right, where was I at? Oh, yes, this young man. This young man. Oh, Lord, no, we ain't gonna do that. We ain't gonna do that. Okay, thank you, King Lucian. He says, so what's the deal with the missing doc? Now, thank you. I'm so glad you asked. I thought you'd never ask. Now, on Dr. Cunningham. Now, I'm not gonna get off into the. Well, as I mentioned before, this is not the first case of this. This is not the first case where a doctor from the CDC has gone missing. Mm-hmm. So it says, well, I appreciate that, Sister Katina. I'm glad somebody do. Lord have mercy. This evening. Being Sourman 0516 is quite a trip. It says, on the evening of February 11th, now this is when everything kicks off, which is 2/11. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna get go to Lucy. I'm gonna get his voice down too. The evening of February 11th. Did you hear him say today he was the most savage robot on YouTube? I like to call the cramp laughing. It says here, on 2/11, his mom received a text from him saying, "Are you awake?" That's right, Cookie Cruncher. The one he dearly loved. Says on the 12th, he left work early, not feeling well. So now his mom received the text, "Are you awake?" in the wee hours of the morning. That time when you get well, back in the days of the landline, if the phone rang, at that time you knew it was bad news. So his mom received a text around that time, "Are you awake?" But she was not awake, and she says, and she didn't see the text. On the 12th, the next day, he left work early, according to the co-workers, saying that he didn't feel well. He left his dog, his little dog too. Dog looked about like Toto. He left a little dog, like women put in their purses. He left a little dog. He left his wallet. He left his car. On the surface, these are obvious signs that he did not plan to be gone. But I saw some other things here. Coded. Want to see MK encoding in full effect. The CNN story. CNN ran a story called "Parents Agonizing Wait for News of Missing CDC Doctor." And all throughout that story, it was a CNN ran story. Well, it had a video with it. But the story gave me all sorts of cues and clues. Now, first, I want to jump to the cues and clues, and then maybe we'll look at the story if we need to. Now, and I just said that because of this. I kind of remember what the big cues was in the story. Okay, so I'm a simple man. Let's look at him, first of all. So you can be simple like me. Let's see what we can see. Okay. Okay. His name is Cunningham. Okay, Dr. Cunningham. Dr. Timothy Cunningham. Okay, let's look here. And so we can put a face with it. Okay, now this is the man. Where's my pen go? Okay, here he is. This is Dr. Cunningham. This is him. This is him. This is him. This is him. You know, his father has a military background too. His father's retired Air Force. His father's got double military backgrounds. He's retired Air Force, and something else we're going to discover too. It's in the notes. But there's one picture in particular I was looking for here. It's of Cunningham and his mother. Uh-oh. Whatever you like. What's she doing on it? What this got to do with the price of rice? Anyway. A big dog. Okay. So, and his mom. Okay. I drew some conclusions. You're a black man who went to Morehouse and Harvard. He graduated Morehouse and Harvard. We haven't heard anyone talk to or interview a love interest, which for him would. But we have heard about your parents. Now you're really close to your parents, and that's a beautiful thing. We're told that his mom and dad drove down from the East Coast down to check on him once they realized that something wasn't right. Which is, and let's see, where are they from? They're from further up north than I am. And I thought to myself, that would be quite a drive. 12, 13 hours from here in Detroit, if you're getting it. So I also thought, well, wow, what if he was just partying? Okay, so they must have known he wasn't into partying. They must have really had a close enough connection and bond to take the off chance that they were making a dry run. That they would go down there and then, find out, hey, mom, oh, no, I just, I had to ring her off, whatever the case may be. So he's got military background, as does his father. And I don't see the one picture I'm looking for. Would that just be, that's Murphy's Law. But anyway, but in the one picture I'm really looking for, the one I'm looking for, he looked so Swedish, I thought it was a woman. And I'm just saying all of that to say this. Now, let's not take away, I don't want to take away from the fact that I believe that what he was doing, if he was doing something that got him in trouble or kept him from getting a promotion, or if he was doing something that may have targeted him, that obviously he was doing something to find out about the way viruses and flus and things that they was doing at the CDC was affecting black folks. And he may have even ran into biological weapons, such as the one that my psych professor had taught us about when I was at Wayne State. He was an older white gentleman, and he had a man of means way about him. He may have had jowls, I don't remember. But he was very concerned about people. Like this young man could have been very concerned about people. He was so concerned that in this primarily black class, he felt compelled to tell us that he had friends who were men of means. And they were working on projects and had worked on these projects years ago. Projects to develop weaponry that would only affect people with melanin in their skin. And they had already developed these weapons. Now, what if this young man comes to find out that they now have biological weapons that they can aim at people of color, and they can infuse those things with disease, or they can target people of color with something airborne, vanishing on 7th Street, where people just disappear or people just drop dead. Which the disappearance was an analogy for dropping dead, and nobody knows why, and vanishing on 7th Street. So I thought about these things. I also thought about this. Now, you in Atlanta, you graduated from Harvard first, then from Morehouse. You are a frat member. They said, well, what is all this other thing, Brother Theo? Because these are the things that that increase the possibility for foul play. Cues and clues. He's in Atlantis. Very important place for them to do ceremonious and ritualistic things. Masters and doctorate. One from Harvard, one from Morehouse. No report of a girlfriend, but yet we're hearing from parents. It's a little dog named Mr. Bojangles. He didn't even name it Benji. He might have could have got a pass if he'd have named his little dog Benji. Okay, this is not the type of deal. Again, that and casting aspersions, if you will. But this sounds like a gay man. This sounds like a man who was embroiled and embedded in secret things, like a secret lifestyle of being gay. Okay? Now, hold on, I'm not finished. It says, okay, a couple more things. Okay, now his father. Well, okay. Stand on Dr. Cunningham. Dr. Cunningham is a government doctor. He's not just a doctor like Graceful alluded to. He's beyond being just a doctor. He's a doctor in a facility that might as well be in Washington, D.C., in a government facility that is charged with not eradicating, not the Center for Disease Cure, but the Center for Disease Control. Wait. Just put a little taste of influenza over here, and then control it. Make sure you put a couple of drops of Ebola over here, and then make sure over here you're juicing up them vaccines so we have nice high numbers of children with learning disabilities result from that. Okay, and this is how they control it. Control just a little bit here, a little bit there. No, not too much over there. Just some here. Okay, not eradication, not curing. So he is a boss there. He had worked on high-profile cases like the Ebola case. He had worked on that. Let me just go down the line. Okay, so now his old dude was obviously proud that his son had achieved so much in this world because he himself had just wink. His old dude just happened to wink achieve a lot too. Wink, I guess it was in the genes. So his father, Terrell, retired FDA and Air Force colonel. That was the other, I couldn't think of his other government position. He's retired from the FDA and retired Air Force colonel. He's getting 2 retirement pension checks. I bet Miss Cunningham wore the sharpest church hats because Father Terrell said that the son was a Christian, and Father Terrell Cunningham praised the police department for their good work, despite the fact that that police department had led him and his wife to 4, count them now, no less than 4 bodies that were supposed to have been their sons, but were mistakenly found. So 4 other families found their loved ones during this time period. So folks is really looking, or it's a whole lot of other stuff going on. The way that the CNN article was written, it was written as if that was done to traumatize the parents. It was written as if this was some big ritual. Could it be that they're in on it? Could they be the hypocrites? Okay, the crises hypocrites in this particular story. But the father Terrell said the son was Christian in so many words. The way he said it, though, it wasn't like he's like, yes, my son's faith in Jesus is going to bring him through. He said it like, I want to give y'all the impression that he's Christian, although he really doesn't think about that. Again, this is what you call discernment. It's a 4-letter word for it too. Some of you may be familiar with that if you're from certain areas where they call the same concepts by shorter names. Game. Have some game about yourself. Be able to pick up on things. So now it don't look right. Okay, so they're getting traumatized. They're getting shown 4 times this happens. But yet the father still praises the police. What does this tell you? Now, his son was a Morehouse grad. Now my if-thens begin to kick in. If-then, frat member. If, ... then. Now, let me plug some frat member variables in. forewarnings. He may still be alive. Very keen, very keen, Sister Estelle. Brian Montgomery said affiliated, without a doubt. Kanga Kong said brotherhood member, without a doubt. Because we've got it right here. That's the if then. It's clear. Which, okay, if then, frat member, or more than a frat member. Like Sister Kanga Kong said, straight up card carrying member of the brotherhood. At one time, hear me, at one time, when I was listening to Brother Steve Coakley, 90% of black doctors were alphas, according to researcher Steve Coakley. At one time, 90% of black doctors were alphas. So what is the chance that this young man reached this level and this position in life and didn't get entangled with these brotherhood types? Again, his field of expertise or his field of study that he focused on was epidemiology. What did he find? Did he find racial targeting or more? $22,000 reward now, up from 15 at the last that I had checked. 22 is double duality, and the 4 as in 4 bodies. And 4 often being symbolic of some use of nature, magic, and witchcraft, or the use of the 4 elements, air, fire, earth, and water, to conjure. Okay, now this is the reward. Now it was February 5th when he was supposed to have had this promotion denial. And after the promotion denial, he did seem to express some dissatisfaction with the fact he didn't get it. And that can be, easily understood. But that's a reason, that's the deflection. Okay, when they keep trying to point you in that direction, it's to give you the impression that, oh, he just offed himself because of this. And that's overplay for the underlay. But what really happened, my instinct says that he's dead and that he was likely used in some sort of ritual sacrifice. That's what my instinct tells me. I don't know though. But this is just the way, excuse me, the way that I began to look at a story. I guess that had been highly publicized enough, and just see some things that I hadn't heard said. And again, he was very prolific and prominent as a doctor. He was no peon. He co-authored 28 publications on a range of topics, from sleep deprivation to pulmonary disease, with a special focus on how health issues affect minorities, quote unquote. He worked on Superstorm Sandy, the Ebola outbreak, the Zika virus. And when they find him, it will be ceremonious. That is, when they find his body, whatever state they find it in. It will be quite ceremonious. Pay close attention to the date. We're coming upon a cusp, soon and very soon. A cusp going from out of the last, which is Pisces, into the first, which is Aries. Very significant cusp, to these witches and warlocks in charge. So I would say, you want to look around that cusp, around that change. We're going from Pisces into Aries. So about the 21st, 22nd, something like that. Within a few days, we may hear some news concerning this. Okay, his siblings, again, I'm drawing straws from strange places. I noticed, their names, and I just thought about how sometimes, like if a parent has, or if parents have 3 different children, and the children have 3 different names, seem to come from 3 totally different mind states, it's because it probably did. The 3 different mind states that the parents were going through when they picked those names. It's the broke mind state. Usually that's the oldest child. He got that name. Oh, y'all ain't ready for this game. Then, after, once you get a little money, you get on your feet a little taste. And then, you may look at your child like something royal. The first child, my understanding, again, it's my understanding, not overstanding. My understanding, the first child was Anterior. That's his older brother. Then was Tiara. Again, this is my Tiara may have come after Timothy, but Antirio is certainly his older brother. Then you have Timothy and Tiara. Now Tiara tells me, princess, queen of. So perhaps this is when things started to look up for you, financially in the family. And we have 102 folks looking tonight. 54 folks decided to like. Now all of y'all folks didn't just forget, did you? Well, if you just forgot, that's fine. Please hit it. And if you can't hit it at all, I'm not talking to y'all. But if you can, please do that. I appreciate that. Now, so it's interesting. So from this, this could be a fake, but I don't think it's all fake. I don't think it's all fake. I don't see the purpose for it all being fake, unless what comes out of this now they could really make a real great black and white chessboard play out of this one, now couldn't they? Oh, well, we found out that it's because he had some paperwork showing and proving that they was putting some sort of chemical in the water and they was about to ship it up there to Flint in Detroit and kill off Brother Unplug him. Oh, Lord have mercy. Because he drinks plenty water. Well, they can use this, if they spin this the right way, they can use this to say that he found out something. And they could link it to Trump. I mean, all sorts of things could be done, with this one instance. But now this is my bottom line on it. My bottom line on it was I also discerned this, that was a person who was attempting to do good. Now, you can't do any good if you don't have any God. And if you're not tied in like you should be, then you're good and your best intentions will often go astray. So, we want him to be more than good. We pray and we ask in the authority of the name of the Lord Jesus Christ and the power of his name, Father, if it is your will, and this is your son and your servant, Father, we just ask, Lord, that you would set the crooked things straight and repair the breaches in Jesus' name, Lord, even concerning the truth of the matter and the whole truth of the matter, Father. Just please give us discernment, Father. Increase our discernment. Mind us Jeremiah 33:3, that the Holy Spirit show us things and teach us things that we know not. And we also ask, Father, that you would just please set the crooked things straight concerning any deception. There are people who are real prayer warriors who hear these type of stories and they go into prayer for all involved. And, we don't want folks to be emotionally invested in something that's not even true. So that's what we want revealed unto us, Father. Reveal unto us the truth of the matter. Amen. And set the crooked things straight and put everything back in order. And if your servant has indeed attempted to bring to the light things done in the darkness, then, Father, we ask that you would let that attempt be successful in the long run. In Jesus' name, we touch and agree and call it done. Now, let's go into the words. Let's go into some words. I found this paper I was jotting on when I was at the hospital. Sister Fanuvi says, it appears to me that the father kept repeating that he is a Christian to ease his conscience. He knows something, which is that his son was sacrificed. Makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Let me see. Okay. So, Again, and I appreciate those who did hit that like button. Again, if you can do so, please do so. It makes a difference. Okay, now, all of these words. Let me look at some of these words here. And I'm going to be glancing down a lot too because I'm about to sit on the desk. Now, see, we had 1 hour. We had 1 hour, and I'm sitting on the desk. I'm sitting on the desk. Hey, class, what's going on? What's happening? Okay. Let's see. Okay. What was this? That's something I want to do right now, y'all. Okay, so I had a presentation I wanted to do, blinding me with science. I'm not going to do the presentation, but I will bring forth the notes, or some of the notes at least. Okay, thank you. Jeez Louise. Okay, blinded me with science, the fall of scientism. Says exaggeration is the most common form of deception. Think about it. And I said, have viewers cite examples of each. Shout out to the Rieger clan for this inspiration. Okay, now the exaggerated things that I'd like to see if we can come to agreement that you find exaggerated versions of history, anthropology, geography, geology, psychology, philosophy, theology, mythology, archaeology, etymology, and zoology. You can find exaggerated, or you can find facts that are exaggerated lies in each one of these things, without a doubt. But the difference is those those were the mysteries in each thing. In each of these things, there was a mystery concerning something, surrounding something. Now we've come to the point in time where knowledge has increased and man is going to and fro seeking for it. And now those secrets or those hidden things have become more common knowledge. And then they begin to pass away. That's how the former things pass away. So you have the exaggerations in history. 6 million Jews were killed. You have the exaggerations in history. All black folks was brought over here in slave ships. The exaggerations in anthropology brought forth eugenics. I forgot one on geography. Okay. The exaggerations in geology caused man to rape the earth for resources, right? Exaggerations in geography. It's important to make certain places appear older, mountains appear higher, oceans appear deeper. Do you know how deep the deepest part of the ocean is, they say? See, now they're saying something different. I remember what they said. But now, supposedly, you can't go beyond 8 miles. The exaggerated history in psychology? Certainly. There are many men who are revered as great men and women revered as great women. Dr. Kinsey jumps to mind. Sigmund Freud, okay, who were Brotherhood operatives, and deviant human beings, by and large. Philosophy, which is what we call philosophy, which is philo, like pedophile, or Philadelphia, brotherly love, or city of brotherly love. philo, a neophile. You like all things new. Okay, philo means to like or love something, and Sophia, the agnostic goddess representation of the goddess of wisdom, and that's in agnosticism. So you have philosophy. Again, there's an exaggeration even in the word itself, but in philosophy, there's a lot of there's much exaggeration. Freud's, excuse me, not Freud. Let's take the philosophers who get you to question your existence and to question the existence of a god and things of this nature. Again, what is philosophy at the end of the day? Thank you. Exaggerations in cosmology. Thank you, Beyond Blessed. Right on. In theology, in mythology, archaeology. They are saying now, the video I think I mentioned it the last time we were together, ran across several videos, but none I would want to show as a teaching tool as of yet. I'm looking for that video if it exists. Perhaps I'll have to make it. But I think I see who's on their way to making it. There's one guy who's very thorough with this, but he's not quite there yet. But he's very thorough with looking at the ancient artifacts from Egypt and seeing how these things are fake. They're actually standing there, but they're not as old as we were told. And much of it is fabricated, meaning cut out of a mold. And they put the molds together, and they put the molds back together. Why would you do this? Well, this one made perfect sense. You keep up the nostalgia and the historic mumbo jumbo of it all. That translates into dollars. But it also translates into power and reverence for the land of bondage and witchcraft. Ain't the devil happy, J. Rue? After that, certainly he would be. So this is part of the crumbling former foundation of knowledge that man once knew as science. And it's crumbling all over. They used to tell you that certain animals could not mix with other animals, and we're finding out that is a lie. That is a lie. The lie detector says that is a lie. Okay? Have you seen I know you have seen all of at one time I was fascinated with these videos. Sister Estelle, I bet you've seen them. Where you watch the villages in Africa, different villages, where some Honey Tony done ran up on a goat, and it's a half human, half goat in the village. Seen it. Or where there's a lot of confusion. When there's confusion among man, and man is the steward over the animals, he can create confusion among animals. Anybody that's ever spent enough time around animals, you know that we have a projection thing, okay? That same projection that can make that animal decide, well, I'm going to respect this one here. You're projecting something out. The same thing that make that animal decide, oh, man, you ain't going to do nothing. I'll come on, bite your ankle. Not that they're always right, okay? But we do project something onto them, so we can project negative things onto them as well and create confusion in our animals. Just like you can create a state of peace or a peaceful environment surrounding your animal, and that animal will carry that same peace. That's right, they can feel you like a baby. So, I was about to look at one of them hybrid things. If you've never seen them before. And don't tell them what's on here nowadays. I've been on YouTube for a long time. I have no acknowledgement of okay. Well, I mean, I don't think oh, well, this is probably not here anymore. Not until I start looking at okay, now, what happened? I know I saw this on here. But it's always something, no, not this. No. It's always something where, see, this created stuff. I don't want to see that Photoshop stuff. I'm talking about where they was out in the village Man, I used to have all of that stuff saved. But you can find it if you look. This is not it. Trust me. This is not it. This stuff, not it. Hybrid. Let me just make it simple, because see, that's too intellectual. Okay, so we're going to say half man, half goat. In Africa. Oh no. Y'all doing too much. Well, or have you seen the okay, this is one. I can tell by how it looks. I know that's one. This is one too. These are two. Here's two here. Here's two. Here you go. Here. This is my grandfather used to talk to me when he was giving me something. He didn't want to give me like some cookies. I shouldn't be eating. Here. Okay, now. And there's also some from the Middle East where the women were having babies that were really looking deformed and demonic because of something that the United States was using in the missiles. Some sort of lead or something, or uranium or something that was being used in our weapons. And that had caused so much of a chemical imbalance or whatever that it was actually changing the genetic structure of these children in the womb. And it was coming out looking bad. Have y'all seen it? Thank you, Sister Candy. Thank you. Depleted uranium. Thank you. Man, that reptile one is serious business. But you want to see this here? Yes, the dog with the human face, that type of thing. Now, it was a Photoshop that was going around. That's not it. This is the real deal, Holyfield. Let me show you one. Oh, Lord have mercy. Now, this is old business, but I'm just trying to show you that it's been going on. Did you see it move? Hold it. My cursor is acting funny. See this face? Some long-haired brother. Look at that. So what's the exaggeration? Well, you know, out in the country and even out there, when I was stationed in the war, I used to hear a lot about the men, they couldn't get no women that mess with the sheep or whatnot, blah, please skippity do. But, the military doctors always told us, you couldn't get them pregnant or nothing. That's the exaggeration. James Smith said, look like his cousin. Have mercy this evening. Whew. Ain't it? Candy said it makes her heart hurt. Okay, we got to get out of here. Okay, that's one. Half man, half goat. Whew. Okay, the little reptilian baby. Which wasn't a reptilian baby. These was babies born with that depleted uranium. Yeah, there you go. Uh-oh. I'm about to go to my Rance Island again. Okay, thank you, King Des, for hanging as long as you could. Yeah. Same deal. Y'all have seen this, ain't you? But you don't want to see it no more. Nah, I said this was going to stop. Yeah, that's right. It wasn't his fault, poor baby. Thank you, Sister Estelle. Oh, Lord, have mercy with me. I couldn't believe this was real. This is bad business. And I don't believe it was just depleted uranium. I don't believe it. I don't believe fat meat's greasy. Thank God for you praying women. Because I have seen too many monster movies in my life and I don't have any babies. It gives me a hard time. Yeah, it would have to constantly be in pain. It's terrible. I know that's right. Mercy. This is one of several that all have the same basic characteristics, same basic looks. The red swollen eyes, almond shaped. This is supposed to be the result of depleted uranium. Yeah, yeah. Well, like I said, King Lucian, yeah, look like a baby man Chan. What's the other one? Ru Chan? One of them Chans? Charlie Chan? Yes, King Lucian. The official word is that this is the result of the birth defects that come from the use of depleted uranium, which is poppycock and horse hockey. They're showing us a devilish hybrid. I imagine the real thing would be looking right. The music is wrong. Ain't they wrong for that 7-word Creole? Whose idea was that? So this was something that was. Thank you, Estelle. Right on. This was something that was, I believe, spliced together because of the human characteristics of it and the weakness of it. If it was probably the real deal Holyfield, they probably wouldn't be able to hold it like that. But this is what we're told. We're told that this is what the birth defects look like that are the result of using depleted uranium. If that's the case, the UN should hold some kind of moratorium or something immediately, like tomorrow. We know it's Sunday and everything, and we don't do UN sessions on Sunday, but we have to do a special session to put a stop to this here. But that's not going to happen because this is what they mean to happen, and they want us to live in a world where devilish and demonic things are the norm. They want you to get used to your life. That's the goal. But I just had to show that as when I think about zoology and even and the cryptids fall into that too. The Loch Ness monster. These are things y'all know whether or not it's a team of them living down there or not. It supposedly has come up on the shore several times over the years, but we have the global satellite imaging and everything necessary to find out these things for sure. But for some things, it's more advantageous for the powers that be to keep it as a secret than to release the antidote, answer, and the cure. And that goes for, there are things in every category like that. But it's interesting to me that, like, the foundational category of science and medicine, I mean, this is like, there are so many other things that hinge on that being true. Once that crumbles, look at astronomy. So many things hinged on that being true, as above, so below being their motto. Even we who believe will say, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. So, when we see that things in the heavens begin, or our foundational understanding of the earth below and the heavens above is blown out the water now. There was no question about the shape of the earth below. And there was no question about what was in the sky above. The past couple of years, those questions have grown exponentially. This is the fall of scientism. Now, if you have other ideas on the fall of scientism, watch this smooth segue. If you have other ideas on the fall of scientism and you would like to share them for an upcoming broadcast and a movie installment of the same title, The Fall of Scientism, please send your ideas to this address. It's about time to get his cursor some rest. It's going all over the place. You can send your ideas here. brothermentheo@gmail.com. And that's, I showed you the exaggerations or how things are falling apart in these different disciplines. And wherever you may see something of note too, you can share it, or if it's a link to an article or something, you can drop that through. And that's what that that's what this email address will be for in this context. Now let's look at a few words. Yeah, that was worse than enemy mine. They look like enemy mine. New little bundle of joy. But some words that we use all the time concerning science and medicine. Most of these, like I said before, are about medicine, because I was actually at the hospital when I saw many of these things. But we've talked about some of these before. The rapist, therapist. We've talked about that a number of times. I'm trying to find where I got all these words at on here. Okay, it looks like something different. Okay, and then outside of therapist, you have the first step to get into the hospital. I've said this before a number of times: admissions. Oftentimes, too, receiving. Okay, then you have registration. Why? Why that word? Because Regis is a word. I worked with a guy named Regis. Maybe he was the second or the third. And he loved to inform us that it meant like a king. It's where you get regal from. Also a principality, I believe, if my memory serves me correctly. But yeah, registration. Again, this is showing and proving some history of hospitals relating to some sort of royal decree. Registration, perhaps under order of the king, everyone would have to go and receive a particular treatment. And this would be the origin of that, and why you see Regis inside of there. Thank you so much, Christy Joy, for jumping ahead of me. Medicine is on the list, as you will see, and it's on the list two ways. If I can find it, I'm going to show it to you right now. Medicine and Zen. And Ed McMahon was a part of Publishers Clearinghouse. Y'all know that's one too. That's a Mandela effect. They try to run me out of my mind. I didn't have far to go as it was. Yes, they say Ed McMahon was never a part of Publishers Clearinghouse. Go figure. I'm looking for medicine. If you don't have trust... Okay, wait a minute. Oh, no, that's not it. Hold on. I got a lot of good stuff I never showed y'all before. Look at all that. Oh, okay, here we go. All right, I think I started here. Okay, pharma comes from pharmakia, which comes from Hermes, Harmon. It does not mean there are no healing meds. Just because pharma comes from pharmakia, which comes from Hermes or Hermon, the fallen angel, it does not mean that there are no healing meds. Certainly there are. How do you find them? The same way you find anything. Proverbs 3 and 5. Next, just because hospital implies hospitality does not mean that none employed there are gifted in diagnosing, relieving, and sometimes healing. Good times. Now, medicine. Med-I, Zen, because it was the wilderness of Zen, Z-I-N. Z is a, or excuse me, S is a backward Z. Medicine. Hold it. Why is it going so fast? Okay. Go, go, go. Go, go. Going fast enough. Come on. Okay. All right. All right. Here we go. All of this. All notes for the future. All notes for an upcoming show. We'll say that. Okay. This is an Unplug 'em original. That's right. No, they say Ed McMahon didn't do that. Yeah, I could have sworn I remember those jokes too, King of Kong. But I bet you they've removed them from public record. Um, okay, let's see. You ever pay attention to this, y'all? The connection between jinn and genes and a devil slash demon, and then Ellen, which is degenerous, to debone something, declassify something, as in to take away or to remove. A degenerous, to take away or to remove your gender or generation ideals, things of that nature. And then the same thing with Bruce Jenner. Interesting, because we know the connection between Jinn, the JYN or the DJYN of Arabic folklore, or of the Arabic belief in devils, and then you have um, the Gen X that's often used to show us generation. But anyhow, Gen X, the name of that devil we don't know. Gen X, Demon X, Devil X. Xanax, again, one of the words we said because of the construction of it, it makes it dubious and suspicious. Then Prozac. Brother Jonathan G had pointed out something here to me, showing we was looking at Ayanla, and I guess that, yes, he had rearranged her name, the lying. That was a good one. Mr. Shepard had also asked, do the ripped jeans mean something? When we was looking at Kamaya's video the last time, or her story, and I didn't see it. Yes, it does. Torn. The ripped jeans meant torn. Oftentimes, when you're in deliverance, you can look at someone and the Lord will give you clues from something that they've done with their appearance. Certainly. And King Lucian, thank you for the turn on to the psychology documentary, the psychiatry documentary. Excuse me, I've been looking for that, and I just couldn't remember the name of it. Let me see. Sister Dinah had left a great comment that I had misread and said something sharp about on the last stream. I'm sorry. I misread, and that was a good comment. Okay. Sister Damali had said something funny. I thought I want to just remember that when she said, because Ayanna fails, she said, to Oprah's torture chamber you go. That was a good one. Okay, Soul Boogie had caught my reference the other day, and I appreciated that. Some musical reference. Only he caught. The Secret Service was pointing out a connection between college and the edge and knowledge. The edge there. Excuse me. That was good. I'm sorry about that. Okay, this is where I wanted to be. Took you credit to say Oprah's torture chamber filled with pics of her feet. That's worse. So, I'm just looking at different words. This one here, this was the one with the owl. I was trying to think of the name of it last week. Sister Elaine had turned me on to it. She actually sent me the YouTube link to the commercial. There's a commercial for this one here. And I don't recall what it's supposed to cure. But of one thing you can be sure. I bet you it makes you drowsy. Why, they're telling you in the name. Playing the same old spell and spell game. That's coding in the name. They're telling you in the name that it's going to make you lethargic. That's crazy. Lazy. X. And then we'll know what else is going to make you after to make you lazy. Okay? Psyche. I've mentioned this several times, but you know, Psyche is in the stories of the Greek myths. Psyche is a character. The word that we use, from which we derive psychology and psychiatry, psych. And also when you joking somebody, when you don't mean what you said, say psych. We used to. And I did not know it was spelled with a P. All little ghetto kids spelled it S-I-K-E. Nike with an S. But psyche. You should know about psyche. We want psyche from mythology, a mortal woman. Psyche was a mortal woman in Greek mythology. Now, I'm glad I looked at that. Cupid and Psyche. Cupid and Psyche is a story originally from Metamorphosis. Now, this is the Wikipedia, which we know is, you could come and edit this in 5 minutes if you want to. You could do it right now. But for something like this, we can get a grasp on basic information fairly quickly. So, could have just typed in Psyche, Britannica, Psyche, Encyclopedia Britannica. But anyhow, this will do. Cupid and Psyche is a story originally from Metamorphosis, also called The Golden Ass. Yes, that's what it says right there. Written in the 2nd century A.D. by Lucius. So that's what he wanted. Don't name your child Lucius. I'm sorry. By Lucius Apuleius Maternus, or Platonicus. It concerns the overcoming of obstacles to the love between Psyche, which means soul or breath of life, and Cupid, from the Latin cupido, for desire, or amor. Okay. Love, okay. Greek eros, and their ultimate union in a sacred marriage. Although the only extended narrative from antiquity is that of Apuleius, Eros, Eros is where Eros is an individual also, and Psyche. Okay, they appear in Greek art as early as the 4th century BC. The story's Neoplatonic elements and allusions to mystery religions. The story's Neoplatonic elements, New School Plato, and allusions to mystery religions, giving hints and connections that show and prove this thing's connected to the brotherhood, accommodate multiple interpretations, and because of that, multiple interpretations come from this work, and it has been analyzed as an allegory and in light of folk tale, marchand, or fairy tale and myth. So, and you know, since the rediscovery of Apuleius' novel in the Renaissance, the GM building, the iconic building in downtown Detroit, it used to be called the Renaissance. The reception of Cupid and Psyche in the classical tradition has been extensive. The story, I'm tripping over my own tongue and lips. The story has been retold in poetry, drama, and opera, and depicted widely in painting, sculpture, and even wallpaper. Psyche's Roman name, through direct translation, is anima. Gotta make it up. Animal without the L. So you see, many of the words that we use come from the stories of the quote-unquote gods and their escapades, their issues, their collisions with mankind. And the more you look, the more you'll find. Mm-hmm. So that's what it is. Yeah, going Greek on it. It's all Greek to me. Greek style. Consider what these things mean. And this is, again, this is a culture that's considered to be a founding culture of this great civilization period, of the world. We learn the way of the world from these civilizations that learned their ways from these invaders. And folks are starting to wake up and smell the coffee and say, "Get off me, softy." And now it's time to cut this one off. And we're going to go into our readings now. Oh, Lord have mercy. I can't look at that another second. Goodbye. Yes, I think we need to go into our readings now. Mm-hmm. And, Greek, that's where you get the wrestling from. And we talked about the wrestling being a low-key way, or not so low-key way, for men of means to meet them some young boys and deal with some different strokes. And that's enough for tonight. Yes, Greco-Roman wrestling. Mm-hmm. Ground and pound. I'm done. Good morning, Sister Sophia Antoine. Peace and blessings to you. That's right, and gymnasium comes from them. That was a strictly gay affiliation, which is one reason why YMCA by the Village People played so well. The YMCA was, in all intents and purposes, a gym, a gymnasium. It served the same basic purpose. If you have not hit that like, and you can, please do that for your man. I appreciate it, because I'm about to sign out. And then you have Lesbos, the island of Lesbos, where you get the word lesbian, the Greek island of Lesbos. And, Greek style being, back in the day, it was what they referred to as anal sex. It was Greek style. And that's what it is. But you have to ask yourself, if the Greeks were these cavemen, according to, the conscious brothers, the X-Clan saying, sitting by the fire while you froze in caves, a bunch of silly thieves with the nerve to say you're brave. And I said, okay, so they stole everything. They didn't know anything. Who taught them? Who did they steal it from? Whose knowledge were they exhibiting? They were showing the knowledge of the land of bondage. This is why Horus allowed for his uncle Set to have his way with him sexually. This is why. Because it's the way of the fallen angels who hate procreation. They hate your creation because they hate your creator. So that's what it is. And this is what it was. That's right, Old Babylon. All roads lead back to Old Babylon. All mystery systems lead back to Old Babylon. All reverence will lead back to Old Babylon. They will try to mix you up and tell you that they're worshiping this one and they're worshiping that one and they're worshiping this one and they're worshiping that one. There's another Walter Veith one where he does a great breakdown going down through all of those different names just to show you it's just a game of confusion because the names change, but the game's the same. And he shows you time and time again this is all the same devils. Zecharia Sitchin even does a degree of that in his books to show you that all the different names for all the different gods, it all breaks down to the Anunnaki. It was the Anunnaki. Different cultures expressing the Anunnaki. Let him tell it. I maintain the Anunnaki are the fallen angels. So, Mr. Sitchin with you, I must agree. And that's what it is. Mm-hmm. Yep, Babylon and Babylon. Peace to you, Brother Don. Mm-hmm. Old stanky Babylon. That's right. Ugh. Yep, that's why it's not a new world order. It's actually an old world order. Right on. Right on. Says Brother Mr. Ronell. Right on. So now, saying a whole lot of nothing. So before I start doing that, let me go ahead and sign off. And we're going to come right back with the readings. So you end up with 4 videos as opposed to 5. I think that'll be cool. So, yeah, after all that type of action, we need some kind of cleansing, some cleanish. Ugh. Cursor acting crazy. Yeah, so after this, we're going to do Came to Set the Captives Free, and then the last one for the night after the dance. So that's what we're going to do. Mouthwash and deodorant, too. Put a little Listerine up on it. Okay. The old strong Listerine. Just pour some on it. Ugh. Nasty. Thank you, Josie A. Josie A says, you were doing well, Brother Theo. I really feel like I was too loose tonight. I'm sorry. Do I need to sit on the desk some more? King Kong say Clorox bleach. That's right. My grandmother used to put a little dibby dab of Clorox bleach in my bath water. So we can get some of that black off you some kind of way. She's trying to get the dirt up off me. Yes. Holy Spirit wash us, make us clean. We need it. Something nice and clean. Was it an I or a Y? Oh, Lord. Sister Vanette, you ain't going to get me back into that Mandela effect stuff? I think it was a Y. I'm wrong. I don't remember. No, Lysol. You thinking Lysol with a Y. Listerine is with an I. Hey. Yes, it was an I. Just like there was no Jiffy peanut butter, it's Jiffy cornbread, and people confusing it with Jiffy with Jif peanut butter. Two different things. Hey.
Sing unto the Lord a new song. Well, let's praise him in the congregation.
Devil ain't gonna fool me on the food part.
Of the saints.
Oh, get out of here.
Praise ye the Lord.
That's right.
I will praise the Lord with my whole heart.
Yes. Right on.
In the assembly
That's
of
right,
the
Ken.
upright
No Mandela.
congregation. Praise ye the Lord, praise ye the Lord.
Right.
From the heavens, praise him in the heights. Oh, yeah.
Well, you know, we used to believe in that, Fanuvi.
Praise him upon the
Especially coming from down
high
south.
cymbals. Praise him upon the loud sounding cymbals. Everything that have breath. Praise the Lord. Praise his name. Praise him, yeah. Praise him. Praise ye the Lord. Praise ye the name of the Lord.
Some say it's too sweet. I like it.
Praise him.
I can't stand it, big nephew Ronell. But see, now I toast the bread.
Praise ye the Lord. Oh, give thanks unto the Lord. For he is good, and his mercy endureth forever. Praise ye the Lord, praise ye the Lord. From the heavens, praise him in the heights.
That's right, King Kong. I believe so.
Praise him upon the high cymbals.
And you probably right, Sister Vanette.
The loud sounding cymbals. Everything that have breath. Praise the Lord. Praise
I can't dispute
praise
you.
his name. Praise him, yeah. Praise him.
Where are we at? And he came to set the captives free. Exactly. Doorways. Thank you, James Smith. God bless you, bro. Okay, y'all ready?
Determined to hold out until the end. Oh, I know he's coming. He's
All
coming
right.
back again.
Okay, y'all. Drop out, get ready to drop back in.
I know in the end, I know I'll get mine.
We're going to come back and do He Came to Set the Captives Free.